Hello everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. Welcome to Sunday Show and Tell. Now before we get started on the things that we have to talk about today, let's talk a little bit about Toy Fair. I record these on Saturday, time of recording. Toy Fair has started. It is happening right now. I fully expected that there was going to be some things that I was going to talk about coming out of Toy Fair for that first day. And there is one thing we're going to talk about, and we'll discuss that when we get to it. But for the most part, I'm going to kind of leave Toy Fair alone, because there's more coming out than what I was expecting. Toy Fair is traditionally for retail, for vendors, things like that. And there's a lot of stuff that you just can't photograph. So previous years, people would go, they would walk around, and then they would just talk about what they saw that day, and we wouldn't have much on-site video. That isn't happening this year. There's a lot coming out even as I'm recording this video. So there are better avenues that can explain what's happening at Toy Fair from people who are actually there rather than me. However, like I said, there is one thing that we'll be talking about, and I will address that when we get to it. So with that out of the way, without further ado, let's get started on the things that I can talk about and I have better information on. And we're going to be starting off with Harvinger Studios' Elric of Melniboné. And you may have thought that this talk was over because the early bird special had ended. I had put in my orders. Last week, it was pretty much done. However, now it has gone on pre-order to the general public. This wasn't something I was anticipating. I thought the pre-order early bird window was the pre-orders, and then later it was going to be coming out. Not so. It is now up for pre-order at Big Bad Toy Store with a $59.99, $60 price tag. I am really glad I bought the ones at $40. It is estimated to have a ship date of fourth quarter of this year. I will wait and see if that happens, but I like that we actually have an estimated arrival date. That was something that I don't think we had with the early bird special. Now, also with Harvinger Studios, we can talk about their Savage Crucible Zolo-Con reveal, the Shield of Dezaria, which I think is how you pronounce that. There's an apostrophe in there. This is a really cool looking figure. This is a really cool looking figure. I haven't picked up too many of the lizard men from Savage Crucibles just because something like that never really did much for me. I might get a lizard man here and there just to like fill out maybe like a D&D setup, D&D display. But other than that, they all kind of look the same to me. This guy, however, looks fantastic. The paint apps, that albino scaled skin with the pattern painted onto him. Also, the three different head sculpts. I really like the one with like the unfurled look, like he's about to spit venom. I think that looks really cool. I really like that. I really like the look of this. Now, this is a ZoloCon exclusive. It will be available at ZoloCon, but Harvinger Studios actually said it will be available with partnering retailers, which means Big Bad Toy Store, on April 1st. No word on if there is going to be anything that is unique to the ZoloCon release that may not be available with the retail release, but we do know that if you can't make it to ZoloCon, wait until April, and it will be available for pre-order on Big Bad Toy Store. With it, you get the albino lizard figure. Some awesome, just look at that, awesome new armor that was made specifically for this figure. 3 total head portraits, one that's kind of like a crocodile type head, and then one with flaps unfurled and one with the flaps pulled back. 2 sets of hands. I believe it's fists and gripping hands. Hold on, let me get to that. Okay, like gripping hands and like open claw hands. The potion bottle, which is the same potion bottle that's actually coming with Elric. A new sword, so his weapon is a new piece as well, and a cloth goods cape. No word on if that's wired or not, but just from the looks of it, I don't think it is. Super 7 has released a couple of waves of Ultimates figures. We have Wave 5 of Godzilla, and we have Wave 13 of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Still no word on Wave 2 of Dungeons & Dragons, or any future wave for G.I. Joe Ultimates. Now, the Godzilla Ultimates Wave 5 has two monsters, two flying monsters this time around. We have Mothra and Batra, and these are really cool. These look fantastic. The paint apps on them, their wings, look fantastic. They are $85 each, as is with most Godzilla figures. If you pre-order them from Super 7's website, they do have a package deal where it's not really a deal. I mean, it's still $170, which is $85 times 2. But if you order it directly from Super 7, you also get a super exclusive pack included that includes an ultrasonic beam head for Mothra and a prism beam head for Batra, which is kind of decent, which is really cool. Like, one of my issues with the Super 7 Godzilla figures is that there's no, like, blast effects. There's no flame effects, especially for Godzilla. There's no, like, radioactive breath. So, including these, the beam effects coming out of their heads, I appreciate that. I think that's a really cool touch. Now, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Wave 13 is a wave of 4 figures, and it is based off of the 2003 characters. I did not watch the 2003 show, so I can't tell you too much about these characters, but I can tell you these look really cool. I always did like the 2003 aesthetic. And with this 4-figure wave, you get the Foot Ninja, Casey Jones, Splinter, and Shredder, who just looks awesome. $55 each. And once again, if you pre-order it from Super 7's website, you can pre-order them all as like a bulk package deal. And along with those 4 figures, you also get the exclusive super pack that includes a Yelling Chirel, which is Krang, basically, an alternate Casey Jones head portrait, a gauntlet that, honestly, not having watched the show, I don't know where that comes from, but I'm sure that means something to fans of this show, and a glow-in-the-dark Sword of Tengu, and that sword that Shredder is carrying does look awesome. So with the super pack, you get the glow-in-the-dark sword. Now, whenever you order them at Super 7, all the pre-orders are paid for up front. That's the payoff that you get between ordering things like from Big Bad Toy Store versus Super 7's website. Super 7, you pay for everything up front, but you get the exclusive super packs that go along with it. You don't get those anywhere else. Also, pre-orders from Super 7, like I said, they're paid up front, but they also have interest-free payment plans, which is what I did for Wave 1 of Dungeons & Dragons. For some reason, I didn't do that with Tiamat. I think I dragged my feet on whether or not I was going to get Tiamat, and I ended up pre-ordering Tiamat from Entertainment Earth. So I still owe for Tiamat. I am putting money aside for that. Ultimates was not the only thing that Super 7 showed off this past week. That we also got a 19-inch Sesame Street Big Bird vinyl figure. This looks awesome. I love Big Bird. I love the Muppets. This looks fantastic. With his collar and his tie on. It looks like it only has 3 points of articulation. Looks like the arms go up and down and the head turns, and that's about it. He's 19 inches tall, which if you look at this photo of somebody holding him, he's about the size of Tiamat, having just spoken about Tiamat, and he's about the price tag too. $295 for this guy. Nothing if you order him directly from Super 7, like there's no Super 7 exclusive pack-ins or anything. So you can order him from Super 7. You can also get him from Big Bad Toy Store and I believe Entertainment Earth as well. Not wanting to be left out, Valaverse trotted out some new figures today as well. Not only are they at ZoloCon releasing their ZoloCon exclusive Steel Brigade figure, which we talked about last week, card and link to that video right here, but if you don't want to do that, the TLDR is basically ZoloCon Steel Brigade exclusive, vac metal helmet, new armor, new weapons. Will be available at ZoloCon, will be available on Valaverse's website after ZoloCon at a later date. Now today what they have released, and everything we're going to talk about right now, as far as I know, is in stock. It's not pre-order. You put it in your cart, you pay for it, you get it, they'll send it to you. There are a few army builders that they rolled out. The first one we're going to talk about is the Maritime Corps figure, and that is right here. And even looking at it, you can tell this is basically a repaint of their Recon Corps figure, which is their new troop builder buck. I think it's pretty much their new buck for the Action Force figures. There's no, it just says Maritime Corps. There's no word on like if it's like a Marine or if it's Special Forces, like a SEAL, and there's really nothing to direct us in what it's supposed to be, because we don't even get a look at the file card. What you do get with it is two head portraits, one with light skin, one with dark skin, 4 sets of hands, 1 assault rifle that is kind of that honey badger style assault rifle, and a figure stand. Goes for $19.99, $20. What I find really curious about this is, with it being a bare bones army builder, troop builder like you see right here, there's no associated gear pack with it. And that's really what I was waiting for, to like tell us if this is like a Marine or if this is like a SEAL Special Forces, like what kind of gear you could get with the Maritime gear pack. Just like how with the Recon figure, we got the Recon gear pack, but there's nothing to go along with this one. So like you pay $20, you get this stripped down figure, and time of recording, there's no other gear pack to go along with it. Now also, the Recon gear pack has not been restocked on Valaverse's website, but if you're looking for a Recon gear pack for the Recon figures, it is still available on Big Bad Toy Store. Now, I would really like to see sort of like a unique gear pack to go along with this figure. I think that would be really cool if they did sort of lean into like the diver or SEAL aspect of it, where you could get like a air tank, a diver mask, flippers, things like that. I think that could be really cool. I think that would be really different and would give a new type of specialist for the Action Force troop builders. Because the next two that they trotted out today, the Ghost Operator and the Crimson Shadow Infantry, are basically just more of the same of what we got, just with a different paint job. In at least one case, not so different a paint job, which we'll be talking about in a second. But also these two, the Ghost Operator and the Crimson Shadow Infantry, they're basically just repaints of each other. And you'll see when we take a closer look at them. Both of these are priced at $29.99, $30 each. We're first going to take a look at the Crimson Shadow Infantry, that they are starting to build out the Crimson Shadow faction. I believe the first time we got hint of the Crimson Shadows was with the Crimson Shadow Praetorians. Now we have human infantry for that faction, so that's getting built out a little bit. I still don't think we have any like named leaders of the Crimson Shadow yet. But also taking a look at this, and I'm not saying they copied it, I'm just saying it just so happens that the two came out at around the same time. It looks very much like the red and black camo close combat operative from Big Bad Workshop's Soldiers of Fortune line. Still has like that black and red camo pattern, even has like the balaclava head sculpt. Just looked very similar to me. Like when I first saw this, I thought to myself, I've seen this before already. Comes with 2 head portraits, light skin and dark skin, 4 sets of hands, 3 ball grenades, 3 canister grenades, pouches to hold both sets of grenades on his legs, 1 helmet with the attachable night vision goggles, 1 pistol with a suppressor and a holster, and 1 assault rifle, and it looks like it comes with 4 magazines of ammo, plus it comes with his figure stand. Now, taking a look at the Ghost Operative, first look, it's basically a repaint of what we saw, even right down to the tack gear that he's wearing. It's some sort of special ops type trooper. Truthfully, the name and the look reminds me of Ghost Recon. Once again, comes with 2 head portraits, light skin, dark skin. 4 sets of hands, 1 helmet with attachable night vision goggles, 1 pistol with a suppressor and a holster, a different assault rifle, sort of has like the AR with the underslung grenade launcher, and 4 magazines of ammo, and a figure stand. It does not have any separate grenades like the Crimson Shadow Infantry does. Also, and I understand that like people who are late to the line may not have this figure, but looking at this, it looks to me that this is basically like a redecking of the Ultra Force Commando, or I'm sorry, the Urban Force Commando that came out a few years ago. The camo pattern, the look of him, like just the chest armor has really changed, and the coloring of like his helmet and some of his gear has changed. Just seems very, very similar to each other. In addition to those army builders, we also have 2 new weapons packs, Juliet and Kilo. Both of them are coming in at $11.99. Taking a look at Juliet, you get everything that you see here. Some of these weapons we've seen in other weapons packs. I'm not saying that's bad. It's nice to be able to, like, if you want that lever action rifle, you don't have to get the old weapon pack that it came with. You can get the new one that it's coming with and get maybe more weapons that you would want. Because there is, it looks like right now, there's at least 2 new rifles thrown in with this. I also like the addition of the K-bar right there. And if you notice, there's a note right here when you're looking at it on the webpage. These 2 magazines may be loose in the above rifle. This occurrence is just for this rifle, and both magazines will fit tightly into all other Action Force rifles. Kind of a bummer, but what can you do? The other weapons pack that we have is Weapons Pack Kilo, and that is basically just a repaint of the Praetorian weapons. Like I said, both of them $11.99. Everything that we just took a look at, except the Zolokon Steel Brigade exclusive, is available right now for sale on the Valaverse website. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about Playmates Toys, and more specifically, we're going to be talking about the Power Rangers Reignition line. And I had something prepared for this. And a lot of what I had prepared was kind of speculation, and some things I'm going to have photos for, some things I'm not going to have photos for. But this is the one that I just saw a video about this before I sat down to record this video. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that I have set up to talk about, and I'm going to fill in some of the blanks from what I saw from the video. Now, I'm also going to put a card and link right here to that video. That's on Pixel Dan's YouTube channel. I'm going to guess you've probably seen it already, but just in case you haven't, he was actually allowed to shoot video, and the Playmates rep talked a little bit about the Reignition line. And we got a lot more information in like that 7-minute video than we've had in about a week's worth of press releases. So I'm going to take these points one at a time, and pretty much everything I scripted is obsolete at this point, so bear with me, please. The first thing I was going to talk about was the Automorphers. They still are what they are. The old Automorphers morphed whenever you like squeezed the legs and then the head popped out and then you had to reset it. Now it's kind of like a fidget spinner, because I think the Playmates rep even said there's a lot of fidget potential with it, that there's a lever on the back, and as you thumb the lever, the head will just keep rotating over and morphing between Power Ranger and Teenager with Attitude. Those are coming out. Now, the presser that I saw, the press release that I saw before sitting down to write this, said that those Automorph figures were coming out in the fall of 2025. I think that is wrong. I think, according to this video, that the Automorphers are going to be coming out like towards the spring, and there's also a series of monsters that are coming out with it. There's Rita, there's Goldar, there's a few others that I don't know the names, but it is very much the kid dedicated line with the Automorphers and these monsters that are coming out. So that is the first thing that is going to be taking stage. Now, something that I don't have scripted in front of me is out of that video, that they did show a glimpse, a look at some prototypes. I don't know if they're prototypes or finished models, but they did show the collector's line that they're calling. There was no talk on price, and they don't look bad, but I really think that if people were hoping that this was going to be something that could be paired up with the Lightning collection, there's going to be a very noticeable difference. There is very much a different look and feel to this. Some people have already started to compare this to like the Bandai days when they were making figures for this. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's kind of where we're at with that. The other thing that I find interesting, but I think he may have misspoke, because if you watch the video, he misspeaks a few times on things, but he said they were only like 5¼ inches tall. Now, just looking at them, I think he meant to say 6¼ inches. At least I'm hoping he meant to say 6¼ inches, because they look bigger than 5-inch figures. And if they do a 5¼ versus like 6-inch, they're going to be shooting themselves in the foot. Like that's not the scale. I don't think that collectors are going to be wanting for that line. Something else that we took a look at was the Dinozord figures, and they look pretty decent. They look, at least the Triceratops and the saber-toothed tiger, look to be about scaled with the Playmates lions from the Voltron Lion series. And those are going to be $17.99 each, $18, even the bigger ones. So you have the pterodactyl, the Triceratops, and the saber-toothed tiger that are all basically about the same size. The pterodactyl looks a little bit bigger, but I think that's because the pterodactyl is just wider and flatter. But realistically, they're all about the same size, all about the same amount of plastic. The T-Rex and the Mastodon are big and chunky, though. And it was even asked, are they going to be a different price point? And the Playmate rep said, no, everything's going to be $17.99. That was done at the request of the retail partners. So it's basically going to be $18 times 5 to get all of the Zords. And of course, the Zords all do combine into the Megazord. And they said that the Megazord is roughly about 15 inches tall, which is going to put it at about the same size, if not the same size, as Playmates Voltron. Which, if you're going to scale, the Megazord should be bigger than Voltron, but I think making it the same size as Voltron is a good move, because if collectors just want to get the Dinozords and then form the Megazord and Voltron together on the shelf being the same size, that's going to look really, really cool. No word on when those are going to be released, but I'm guessing that's going to be later in the year, maybe spring, summer. Now, something else that they showed was the Power Morpher. Now, there is a price on this that I had found. One of these things I had been able to, I had found some information on. The Power Morpher is going to be $16.99, includes the 5 power coins, has 40 sounds and phrases. I didn't have any pictures, but once again, if you go check out that video, you'll be able to see it. That the coins that go into the middle of the Power Morpher for your favorite ranger, the coins determine the sounds and the phrases that come out of the Power Morpher. So the Morpher actually reads the coin, which I think is a pretty cool touch. And to add on to that, later in the year, whether it's later the end of this year or the beginning of 2026, we're going to get the Dragon Dagger, okay? And it's going to play the music. It'll have things that Tommy says is the Green Ranger, but it also comes with the Green Ranger coin. And that Green Ranger coin that you get with the Dragon Dagger will work with the Power Morpher. So I think that's kind of cool. And I'm also curious to see if they're going to do something like that similar with the White Ranger whenever that comes out. And then there's finally the Blade Blaster, which once again, I didn't have any photos for it, but I did find that it's going to be $19.99. They're billing it as 2 weapons in one, starts as a blaster, morphs into an extended sword, lights up with every blast, 20 sounds and phrases. Didn't have any pictures, but it is on that video. And my take on it is that is something that is geared towards kids as well. Now, the Power Morpher, I think, is geared towards kids too, but I also think that's something that's just kind of cool that adult collectors would like to get their hands on as well. Like for $16.99, I'm even thinking of picking up a Power Morpher just to see like what it's all about. I may even get those Zords. Maybe, maybe not. But the Blade Blaster to me was the least impressive of the display, but it is geared towards kids. Like when it goes from blaster to blade, like it really only extends maybe about that much. Something a kid would have a blast with, no pun intended, but definitely very toy, if you know what I mean. So that was all I had for Power Rangers. But like I said, what came out of Toy Fair kind of blew out of the water what a lot of my speculation was going to be. That the Automorphers are not the end-all be-all of the line, which I was sort of thinking that it might be. That's all we were getting for the year. But then they showed pictures, or they showed video of the collector's line, which don't look great, but I see a lot of potential there. Oh, and also they're reissuing their version of the 8-inch Bandai figures, which some people are already very excited about that. So you have that to look forward to as well. So something else that I wasn't prepared for, because it popped up just as I was sitting down to record this, is Neca Toys has brought out a line that is celebrating the 50th anniversary of Jaws. And I think this is kind of cool. I really think Neca is good at going back to those old movies, those old classic movies, and bringing out figures of them. And this is no different. We have 2 figures, kind of 3, but mostly 2 and a game. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. Now, the first one we're going to take a look at is this guy, the 50th anniversary Ultimate Sam Quint action figure. Now, a few years ago, Neca did bring out a couple of 8-inch figures with cloth goods for Jaws, Quint being one of them. But now this is a 6-inch figure done in the Ultimate line, and this is $36.99. And with it, you get Quint, 3 head sculpts. You can see one with the bandana, one with the cap, one with just like his drinking face. 4 pairs of hands, some of them gloved, some of them bare. Alternate pair of arms, so you can take the jacket off and just have him in his shirt if you would want. His rifle, harpoon gun, baseball bat, machete, a beer can, and a crushed beer can. And there's actually 2 different rifles that you're getting with him. Now, the other figure that we get is Matt Hooper, 50th anniversary Ultimate Matt Hooper, Amity Arrival. So this is when he shows up at Amity for the first time. And once again, $36.99, and what you are getting with him is the figure, 4 head sculpts. You can see just different various states of expression on his face. 4 pairs of hands, some gloved, some bare. Alternate hand. Yeah, okay, alternate hand, alternate pair of arms. So once again, you can take the denim jacket off and you can just have him with his gray sweater on if you would want. The duffel bag, harpoon, spear, scuba tank, cup, and crushed cup. So you can kind of redo that bit where like Quint crushes the can and Hooper just looks at him and crushes the styrofoam coffee cup back at him, which I don't know why, but that's like one of my favorite character moments. That and the comparing of scars, obviously. So those are both $36.99. They are both up for pre-order right now on Big Bad Toy Store. Estimated arrival is May of 2025. Now, the third item that they have up right now is the 50th anniversary, the game of Jaws. And this was something that I had when I was a kid. That was basically just a big plastic shark. The jaw was weighted down by all of the gear, all of the stuff that you see right here in this photo. And you use that spear to kind of hook and pull it out. It's basically a balancing game, that if you lift the wrong item and the jaw snaps shut and catches the spear, you lose the game. However, my version of the game did not look like this. If you look at this right now, and you look at the accessories that it's coming with, not only is this a game, this is Jaws. This is the figure of Jaws. He's 15 inches long, which I think is a little small for what he is compared to the other figures, because Quint clocked him at about a 25-footer, 3 tons in the movie. But still, that's a big shark. And that would be really cool, even if you're not getting the rest of the Jaws line. If you throw that into a display with like your Cobra Eels or Torpedo or like the Recon Diver or even the divers that are coming out as part of the Sunbow line, like that's just a really cool diorama piece. Plus you get all that stuff in there to use as like just accessories to like spruce up your diorama. I think that's really cool. I really dig that. I'm not sure if I'm going to get Quentin Hooper, but I think I'm definitely going to get this because not only is it a game, it's awesome. The only thing that is making me balk a little bit right now is that this guy, this game, is $64.99, $65 right now. So I still think it's cool because like a 15-inch shark, like that's about yo big, I think. So like I definitely think that's going to be something that's worth it, and it just looks cool. Like the sculpt on it, the paint apps on it, it looks like the shark. And I like how it can support itself up on its fins. It has to because of being the game. But I think there's a lot of potential for that. Because with that mouth opening, I wonder how far back the body is hollow. Because what I'm wondering is, can you like shove a figure in there down to the waist? Like he's trying to struggle to get out and do like a deep blue sea type thing? I don't know, but it would be really cool to do it. Now, coming around to Mattel, there's not a whole lot I'm going to talk about new reveals, new pre-orders, things like that. A lot of stuff just hit on the drop zone today for Mattel and Hot Wheels at Entertainment Earth. I will leave a link to that in the description below if you just want to check out some of the new stuff. There's some Monster High. There are 2 new dolls for the Disney Snow White movie, live action Snow White movie that's coming out. A doll of Snow White, a doll of the Wicked Witch. There's some Hot Wheels, nothing Racerverse, so nothing I really want to talk about there, and some Ring of Honor figures that came out. So honestly, nothing that I'm really that into, but you can check that out for yourself. Link in the description below. Just also a reminder that this coming Tuesday, March 6th, is the Mattel Creations Revealed event. Here's the schedule, in case you forgot. It's running from roughly 9 a.m. Pacific time to 10:43, probably more like 11 o'clock Pacific time. Remember, those are Pacific time, so if you're on the East Coast, add 3 hours onto that. So 9, 10, 11, 12, starts at 12, 11, 12, 1, 2, ends at 2. So there you go. Not a whole lot on what's going to be revealed there, except for one hint, which we will be talking about now, because the other big news that came out of Mattel is Club Grayskull is back. I was not collecting Mattel or Masters of the Universe when the original Club Grayskull subscription event, whatever you want to call it, subscription base was up. So I don't know how closely this version of Club Grayskull reflects the old Club Grayskull, or if they're just using the name and this is something completely new. So this is a subscription-based program that gives you priority sales access. So I'm guessing like how Hasbro Pulse lets you start ordering things an hour ahead of everybody. That's the same thing that Grayskull is going to do. Voting privileges, confidential content, exclusive items, and is $9.99 a year. So it's actually kind of cheap compared to other subscription programs. Pulse Premium. But this has raised some issues in the fandom, and I can understand why. First of all, let's talk about that voting privileges. It used to be that they just left the voting open on the forums and on their social medias. Now you have to pay $9.99 to be able to vote on things. And I'm curious if the snake layer issue is driving this, which I would argue the problem with the snake layer and that being voted in was not an issue with the fans so much as it was an issue of, hey, this is what you presented us, this is what we voted on, and what you're trying to sell us, or would be trying to sell us, looks nothing like what we picked. So there's that. Confidential content, I understand how that sounds, but I'm guessing, my guess is that it would be something like Hasbro Pulse's 1027 event, where there's like just going to be anniversary events that members will be able to view, but eventually the rest of the public is going to be able to see it because it's just going to come up for pre-order anyway. What I am curious about is the exclusive items. Now, obviously, because this is Club Grayskull, it's going to be Motu based. What kind of figures are those going to be? Are there going to be roleplay items? Like, what's going to be the type of items that are going to be exclusive to Club Grayskull members? Well, luckily, we're not going to have to wait long, because they also said that the first Club Grayskull exclusive will be revealed at the Revealed event on March 6th. Am I going to do this? Probably. Have I done it yet? No. Why would I do it if I'm not a big Motu collector? Just to really see what it's about, to be completely honest. Because at $9.99, $10 for the year, I'm not saying I would go in on it every year, but there is a curiosity in me that is like, okay, what are they going to do? Because I don't know about you, but it seems like Mattel Creations is always chasing the tail of Hasbro Pulse. So offering something like this at a decidedly lower price than what Hasbro Pulse is offering, their premium service, I'm curious to see how this is going to play out and how much you're actually getting for the $10. I'm also very curious to see like what kind of exclusive items, because they mentioned that the first club exclusive will be revealed at the Revealed event. But I'm wondering if there's going to be more than one per year, or if it is just going to be one per year, or how that's going to work. So there's a very good possibility I'm going to do this so you don't have to, just because I'm that freaking curious. Now, the big news that was released this year, or that was released this week, and probably for the year, and I already did a video of this on Thursday, card and link right here, is that Mattel has regained the DC license. I, for one, am very excited about this. I'm very happy this is happening. I speculated at the beginning of the year that if Mattel got the DC license back, card and link to that video right here, I'm wondering if they would do DC the way they're doing Masters of the Universe, where they would have like a 7-inch line done in that Masterverse style, which would just be awesome, and then maybe like a 5.5-inch line like the Origins figures, and then there would be the potential for a lot of crossover, because one, it's precedented, DC and Masters of the Universe have crossed over in the comics. We have comics where He-Man and Superman have gone at it. And also, Mattel seemed pretty comfortable in mashing everything into Masters of the Universe Origins line at this point, because we've had the Turtles of Grayskull, now we're going to have Thundercats, and it wouldn't be anything for them to put some of the DC characters, like Wonder Woman, I think would fit fantastic into the Motu line. Dr. Fate would fit fantastic in the Motu line. Zatanna, characters like that. Obviously Batman and Superman as well. Green Lantern would be awesome in the Masters of the Universe line. Just like all armored up with like a big Horkin battle axe. That would be really cool. So I'm very excited to see what is going to be done with this line. Now, I also, in that video on Thursday, postulated that I wasn't entirely sure that this meant McFarlane was losing the license, just that maybe Warner Brothers was going to spread it around, kind of sell it off in a way that Turtles is pretty much, if you want to make Turtles figures, if you want to pay us for the rights, you can make Turtles figures. They don't seem to be real choosy about who's making Turtles figures right now. And I was wondering if that was going to be the case with DC, and whether or not McFarlane Toys was going to retain the license. Well, some things have happened with that have made me alter my thoughts And that, of course, brings us to McFarlane Toys, which I don't talk about much, but it seems like in the past 2 weeks I've been talking about them more than I have in probably the past 2 or 3 months. So we know from Toy Fair that there are some McFarlane Multiverse figures coming out, including a figure of Supergirl from Woman of Tomorrow, which I'm almost tempted to buy, but nah. But at FanFest, and I believe this was revealed on Friday, at FanFest, McFarlane Toys has announced 2 new lines. Well, one sort of reborn line and one new line. And what they have announced at FanFest is the Mortal Kombat's Classics. Now, Classics, of course, spelled with a K. Now, they had done Mortal Kombat figures before, but it was pretty much they just sort of handled Mortal Kombat 11. It seems like they just have Mortal Kombat in general now, that they can make figures based off of that. We can see our first wave right here, 4 individual figures, which is Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Liu Kang, which that Liu Kang is an awful figure, and Katana, interestingly enough. And then in addition to this, there is a deluxe 2-pack that is coming out with Mileena and an iced up Sub-Zero. So Katana and Mileena basically have the same body sculpts. They just need different head sculpts, different weapons. I find it interesting that McFarlane Toys, in the first wave of figures, is releasing 2 female figures with that first wave. Lessons learned, maybe? I don't know. So this is kind of coming out of nowhere. Also, there was announced that there is a new 5-inch line he is going to be doing with IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Page Punchers. Talking about, if you want the license, if you want to make Turtles figures, pay us, you can do it. Seems like that's what's happening right here. The only one we've seen so far is Leonardo. It's a 5-inch figure. You get the twin katanas, the scabbards, 2 head portraits, 2 sets of hands, 2 sets of feet. No word on the price for any of this that we just talked about, but I'm going to guess it's going to fall in the $20 to $30 range, depending on the figure, depending on the accessories that you get with it. I find it interesting, the timing for this, that this came out right on the heels of Mattel announcing that they have the DC license now. Now all of a sudden McFarlane is leaning into Mortal Kombat, which is something that he hasn't done anything with in years, and now TMNT. I feel this is evidence that after 2025, McFarlane Toys won't be making multiverse figures anymore. That is just my take on it. I have no evidence other than what's in front of us to come to that conclusion, but I do think that it's just going to be Mattel running the show in 2026, which makes me curious as to what's going to happen as far as sales go for the multiverse line. I know there are people that are going to be like, we're in the home stretch. I want to complete the line. I'm going to get as many as I can. I'll get that Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow figure. I know there's a few more multiverse figures that are coming out that some people might be snagging up. But I also think there's going to be people that are going to be saying, why? If this line is coming to an end, we have a new one coming out in a year, let's see what happens. Because if I remember correctly, when it was announced that McFarlane was taking over the multiverse line and Mattel originally lost it to them, I'm pretty sure Mattel's sales just fell off a cliff at that point. And a lot of that stuff that came out at the end of the line sort of ended up in the bargain bin. That's around here anyway. That's what happened. Also, I find it interesting that just out of nowhere, TMNT. Just saying. And we're doing the IDW Turtles, which is a sort of, it's not a very well represented line. As a matter of fact, the only one doing IDW Turtles right now are Loyal Subjects. So we'll see what happens with McFarlane doing Page Punchers. We'll see if he's just going to stay to Page Punchers or if he's going to have other TMNT figures coming out. Very interested to see what's coming up for McFarlane Toys through the rest of 2025 going into 2026. And finally, that brings us to ending the show with Hasbro, as we've done multiple times. The first thing we're going to start with is Transformers, that the Transformers 1 RPG sourcebook has gone up for pre-order at Renegade Games. It is $40. There's really no pictures of it yet right now, but it is up for pre-order. If you're into Transformers RPG, if you wanted source material for Transformers 1, that is available in this hardback, $40. Pre-orders up now, link in the description below. Also, we had 3-0 MDLX Articulated Figure Series Optimus Prime Sleep Mode go up for pre-order this week. Sleep Mode is, of course, Optimus when he died in Transformers the movie. I think it's hilarious that they're calling it Sleep Mode. This is a 7-inch figure, 48 points of articulation, 6 pairs of hands, the Ion Blaster, his Energy Axe, and the Matrix of Leadership, all of it in this sort of like metallic grayscale look. It doesn't look like the chest opens for the Matrix of Leadership to go in there. It just looks like the windshield, the chest piece comes off, not like the doors flap open. This is $99.99. I could not find a estimated arrival date for it as of right now. Also, we have the Transformers Generations War for Cybertron Siege Deluxe Prowl. This is a solid Prowl figure. If I collected Transformers, this would probably be my favorite Prowl right now. I really dig that Cybertronian vehicle mode. I really liked the Cybertron video games. Not as good as Devastation, but they were solid. They were really good. I especially like the transparent wheels on this. I think that's really cool. $24.99, estimated to arrive October of 2025. And also, and as lame as it sounds, this may be my favorite of the releases so far, and that is Trailbreaker. The Transformers Generations War for Cybertron Earthrise Deluxe Trailbreaker. I love this 80s style. Not only do I love the truck mode, that 80s chonky, blocky truck mode, look at the stripes on the sides of Trailblazer. The yellow, the red, the orange, the diagonal slats. Have you ever seen deco more 80s than that on a Transformer? I love that. Also, $24.99, estimated to arrive October 2025, along with Prowl. And now that brings us to the piece de resistance, what you've probably been waiting to see, what we started the show with, and what I've been wearing, and that is Cold Slither. Look, at this point, everybody knows that this is the 2025 SDCC exclusive. When there was the post, the Instagram post about the Hasbro fan stream being delayed, everybody assumed, well, I shouldn't say everybody assumed, I assumed when they referenced the Dreadnoks, they were talking about the Thunder Machine going up for pre-order, which still could happen. They could be announcing the arrival of the Thunder Machine, but I think the reference to the Dreadnoks was in regards to this, the Cold Slither box set, 4 figures, all of the band equipment, SDC 2025 exclusive. This is easily $100 to $150, and I'll pay it because I want this. I have been wanting this for so long. There were videos where I think I talked about this, that like I wanted this to be the HasLab instead of the Dragonfly. I wanted the Cold Slither band HasLab set where you just backed it, you got all the figures, some of the unlockables were like band equipment, maybe like some of the unlockable figures, like you would have had the 4 main figures as the main piece, and then like some of the unlockables would have been like CoverGirl, Lady J, and Scarlet in like their groupie gear from that episode. Like there's just so many things they could have done. I would have loved to have seen a display stage, like a playset stage that you could put them on the stage that was Bluetooth capable and had speakers built into it, so then you could actually play music through it. That's what I was hoping for. This is cool. My idea was better, but this is cool. And I'm going to be honest, this is the one that has me sweating, because we've had the SDCC exclusives go up for sale on Hasbro Pulse before. And I am very fortunate that this desk I'm sitting at right now, where I am right now, this is my office. So I'm home when these things go up for pre-order in the afternoon. And there are some people that have been like, well, it's cold Slither. Not everybody's going to want that. So it shouldn't be that hard to get once it goes up for sale on Hasbro Pulse. Bull. Because even if there aren't people that are going to want this, at a limit of 5, which is probably what it's going to be, just like everything else, there's going to be people snagging this up to flip this. You know there is. And if I would have missed Once a Man, I think I would have been okay with that. If I would have missed Chuckles, I definitely would have been okay with that. If I would have missed Mindbender, I would have been a little upset, but I would have known that there was a Mindbender coming out, which I've been saying for years that like there has to be a standard release Mindbender coming out. Now we have them coming out as part of the retro collection. This, I feel like if we miss this, we'll never see something like this again, whether it's individual figures released as deluxe figures or what. I feel like this is it. And that really bothers me. Like this, I feel, and tell me if I'm overblowing it, but like something like this, especially with the other Sunbow figures coming out, shouldn't have been a SDCC exclusive. If they wanted to make it any exclusive, make it PulseCon, because the PulseCon exclusives tend to have a better sell rate. Like it tends to be easier to get your hands on PulseCon exclusives. Or maybe this should have been a HasLab, or this should have been one of those limited window pre-orders like what Marvel Legends is doing. That they're making this whole set the SDCC exclusive doesn't sit well with me, but I'm going to try to get my hands on it, and I am going to feel horrible for anybody that wants this that can't get their hands on it. And I think they're making a mistake with this one. I really do. Just with how they're releasing it, how they're just putting it out there as a 4-pack instead of like, even if they would have just done like 4 deluxe figures for this, and then like, I don't know. There could have been a better way to trot out something like this. Am I overblowing it? Am I overestimating how many people are going to want this and get their hands on this? I don't know. But this is the one I'm nervous about. And it's worth saying that like not only is there going to be the classified version, but we've seen Super 7 is going to be making Reaction Plus figures based on Cold Slither as well. The only one that we've seen so far is Zartan, but I feel like Super 7 will eventually do the whole band. Also, what you have right here, like there's no microphones or anything like that. I have a feeling that like what we're looking at isn't the end product. That like we're looking at the instruments, but I have a feeling there's going to be like maybe a little bit more pack-ins to go along with it than what we're seeing right here. Because something else that kind of, I don't know if bothers me is the right word, but it's like if you're going to make this exclusive, at least make it... Ripper didn't play a keytar. He had an actual keyboard because he pulled his rifle out and he took the bayonet and he like ripped all the keys off. I remember that. And then he cut it in half. Buzzer cut his drum kit in half. Like, it would be cool if the drum kit split in 2, but that's just something that could have been done as a HasLab. I'm nervous about this one. Let me know how you're feeling about it. We had a lot to talk about today, and if you're still with me, I want to thank you for making it all the way to the end. Just a few things in the bonus content that I want to talk about before we sign off. That right now, Entertainment Earth has a special running that if you spend $100 on their website, you will get a code for a $20 digital gift card. Also, and this kind of bums me out very much, speaking of DC, is that the Wonder Woman game has been canceled. And I'm not going to go into the details of why it's been canceled or what that means for the gaming industry, but I was really looking forward to that. We've never had a Wonder Woman video game. Amanda McKnight, also known as Vampy, did a great video on this. Card and link right here. Also link in the description below if you want to check that out as well. Well, look who made it to the end, you legend. If you made it this far, please give the video a like and consider subscribing while you're clicking buttons down there. If you already are a subscriber, I want to thank you for taking time and hanging out with me and talking toys again. If you like what we do here and you want to help the channel out, please consider becoming a member of the Steel Core. You can do so by channel memberships or by becoming a monthly subscriber to my Ko-fi page. Link in the description below. Core members get access to members-only exclusive videos, the Discord server, and eventually members-only live streams, all for just $1 per month. So until next time, my friends, play well, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.